Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time you will be looking at this recording. I'm Michelle C. and Augustine, and I'm going to tell my story again. So, some people think that, okay, because they have failed before, that is the end of the road. But failure is not the end. We should avoid failure at all costs as much as we can. But if you have failed before, it is not the end. So once upon a long time while I was in my childhood and was in primary school, I used to fail all the time. And my failure was as a result of me not wanting to learn and liking to learn. It just wasn't my thing. So as a result, I never used to study. And every end of term, I think it started around standard one or so, I would get a big F every end of term. And this happened continuously until I reached my third term in standard three. And my teacher said to me, he said, Michelle, if you fail again, you will remain in standard three and redo that term. And of course, I didn't want to see that. So I told my grandmother about it. Before all of that, I even had family members through that those years when I was failing who, when they heard about my failure, term after term, they would laugh and mock. Now, my grandmother, when I told her what my teacher said to me, she decided to take it to the Lord in prayer. And I believe it was a special prayer because she was always a prayer person, right? She was actually a pastor to be exact. So she would have taken me to God in prayer, especially, and the Lord heard her, and my attitude towards work, doing my schoolwork and studying changed. As a result, she also hired one of her sons, who he still is, but not as much as back in the day, a teacher, mainly mathematics, and he also taught me POA at some point. But yeah, it was mainly mathematics at that point that he would have taught me, and my grading maths would have continuously increased to about 70 something by the time I graduated from primary school and wrote SCA. Now, even my overall grade, the other subjects that I was doing, um, would have impacted my overall grade. So I went from an F to a D to a C. So by the time I graduated, I believe I graduated a C around there. I don't think it was a B. It was close to B, but I can't recall getting a B. And I went into high school, and I continuously, not to say I always like the learning, you know, because sometimes it appears boring, right? And that's why lots of people don't like to learn because they don't get that self gratification from it. And I kept studying. I was still in lessons, and my dominant subject would have been maths because of the fact that I had lessons for that subject only. And that was the subject that by the time I was in Form 2, I was only getting 100, 99, 98, 100. My grades was always rotate around those three numbers. And of course, I started to get multiple awards, like certificate award every end of term because I was passing all my subjects. I was not failing anything, and practically most persons would have known me back then for a mathematician type of a student. But of course, I cannot take praise for it because it wasn't for my uncle. I don't even think I would have passed maths, right? And God's help hearing my Jesus Christ, through God, hearing my grandmother's prayer and answering. So by the time I reached Form 5, it was the first time, either the second, I think it was the second term in Form 5. The first time I got first in class. So my grades was increasing. At that point in Form 4, I started doing lessons, another class, sorry, with my uncle, in addition to maths. So that was principles of account. And but my principles of account grade was usually always over the 90s too. And By the time I was in the second term in Form 5, it was the first time I would have gotten overall first. I remember the person who used to come first in Form 4 and stuff was like, she saw she come second overall in the class, the second highest grade. She was like, who's the person come first? Because I used to be coming like third and sometimes around fourth and stuff. And I check I wasn't even taking out. I was just looking to see what I got in maths and these things. But when she checked the grade, when I checked, she was like, Michelle, what did you get overall? Second came first overall in the class. What a miracle. Yes, it took years, but it happened, right? And then when I graduated from Form 5, I would have graduated with one, I got two awards. One was for passing all my subjects, business student things, and then the other one was for getting the highest overall grade in my school in CSEC in the year 2011. Now, I should have mentioned this before, but I also would have gotten a plaque for while I was in standard three, when I wrote the MCSC exams, that I got most outstanding. I should have also mentioned that while I was in primary school, when I graduated twice, well, when I graduated and before I graduated, when my grade would have increased, I would have gotten an award for most improved. And then when I did A levels, and there were all kind of things that happened with A levels, I got a number of these subjects, most of them from A levels. Yeah. And then things happen. And I really wanted to go to pursue my degree, my tertiary level education right after Form 6 when I completed. But things happen in life and sometimes it changed the course of things, right? But at the end of the day, God had a plan because at the point when I started my degree, my mindset and my goals, and I was more mature. Even though I was in my early 20s, I was more mature and I was ready to undergo this thing. And I was like this. I want to graduate with distinction. I never want to tell people this now. People didn't know about this. This was something between me and God. It was personal because sometimes you talk about I try not to talk too much about my future because not everybody gonna be happy for you, and then there are people who are gonna try to fight it up. So some will fight it with the mouth, some will go into the spiritual realm and do things that are ungodly to fight it up. But when you have the Lord Jesus Christ, but you still want to be wise, even though yes, God can fight it, but you want to be wise. So very rarely you might hear me if I'm in an interview saying, okay, I'm going to do this or whatever. But I try my best to avoid doing this to see it before time. It's only this year I have been speaking about this other thing multiple times because I graduated. So what should have taken me 4 years to graduate, I took 5. And some people may be like, well, but the thing is, I was working, teaching, that is, at the same time I'm studying. So I can't be selfish. I have to ensure that the students I'm teaching get excellent grades. At the same time, I want to accomplish my goal of graduating with honors. So I had to learn how to balance my time. I prayed to God about it. He gave me directions, how to manage my activities, how to be more self-disciplined, how to be consistent. Because trust me, I had multiple trials within that 5 years. However, I never gave up. I never give up. Even though sometimes I felt like giving up, there was situation and things. Sometimes it's finances, sometimes it's like something going on in your body, sometimes it's people around you. So all kind of different things were happening. But I did not give up. And it was the first time I've been so independent in terms of my studies. Even my mother was, she never told me one day within that 5 years, Michelle, go and study a week. Because at that point, my mindset, I said my work ethic, everything would have been changing, and I was adjusting and making changes to my life because I know you cannot expect to do the same old and get new results. You have to be willing to adjust, and it is possible for anybody because I am a living testimony to go from a total failure to the highest levels of success. It's just it's one thing. It is one thing. Believing that you can do it is another thing. Having God through Jesus Christ is a bonus. And on top of that, putting in the work, making the sacrifice, managing your time, work ethic, all of that. You need to change the way you approach things, the way you do things. Because when you try to use um the same old, it's not going to give you new results, right? And by the grace of God, even though at some point during that 5 year period I would have readjusted what which honor I wanted, I still was like, I need to get an honor. And I did graduate with honors. And that tells you when you put your mind to something and you sacrifice and you put in the work, you will be able to see the results. So some persons will hear me saying a lot of times, put in the work and you will see the results. And I mean what I say. So I hope that somebody's encouraged by this. I know I'm a little bit long. I went a little bit longer than I intended. And don't forget to like and share. And make sure to subscribe on all so that you don't miss any of my future upcoming videos. And you all take care and be blessed.